We're back on the swamp wagon, back on the swamp train, coming off of the Bronze Age, Volume 3, and we're back to the Alan Moore Swamp Thing. This is sort of a reread for me. I read this before I did all the Bronze Age volumes, and I'm having a hard time getting a hold of the Rick Veicht run, and so I thought it'd be worth it in the meantime to sort of reread this, see how it all fits together in continuity, all that stuff. Uh, my first impression is that this is a sort of soup from stone endeavor with regards to the characters. Alan Moore is making a lot of effort to sort of flesh out these characters, to recontextualize them, to put them into different relationships. He's got Abby Arcane with Swamp Thing. Matt Cable is a drunk who's having hallucinations, but I'm not sure it succeeds all the way, mostly because I'm not sure that there was much to build off of in the first place. Like, in all the previous issues, most of these characters, aside from Swamp Thing himself, were kind of thin, in my opinion. Like, the most defining quality of Abigail Arcane was that she has white hair, and that's pretty much it. Like, so he's making the effort to sort of flesh everybody out, but I'm not sure it succeeds all the way. I still don't quite know like what her character is supposed to be, other than sort of vaguely crazy, vaguely kind of like maybe sad and desperate and kind of crazy. And I guess that's a character. Um, Swamp Thing is sort of the one who gets the most work done on him in some ways. In some way, so I'm talking about in specific the anatomy lesson issue. That's sort of a big one that people always point to. The anatomy lesson issue is where Swamp Thing finds out that he's not necessarily a man who's become sort of a muck monster. He's an assembly of mutated plants with the consciousness of a man, which on the one hand is like kind of a big change, but on the other it's more of just sort of it's still sort of the same character. It's still sort of like the tortured Frankenstein-esque universal monster creature, just sort of like in a different mood and context. And I guess there's an element of he's sort of Stella when she gets her groove back. Swamp Thing sort of becomes Whitney Houston, and Stella got her groove back, in that learning that he's not a man at all. I flipped right to the pages. Learning that he's actually not quite a man at all is sort of liberating for him, and I guess that's an interesting sort of character evolution. One big and I think necessary aesthetic change that is established after the first issue, and I'm not sure it ever comes back, is the yellow thought balloons are dropped. Swamp Thing's thoughts up until this point have been portrayed in these yellow thought balloons, and his thoughts always have all these ellipses interspersed between them. I guess the conceit being that, like, since he's an ambling muck monster, that his thoughts are sort of portrayed similarly. So, like, every one of his thoughts is like interspersed with all these ellipses. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. And I think it's good that that's been dropped, whether that was his decision or like an editorial decision or what. But like, I remember getting to the end of the Bronze Age Swamp Thing, like the third volume, and feeling like those yellow thought bubbles with the ellipses were just starting to get in the way, and the ellipses start to feel like less and less organic. And I don't know, I think they probably like they sort of get in the way of I don't know, depicting a character when you're always sort of constrained to depict a character's inner thoughts with the same sort of pattern, the same sort of broken ellipses pattern. I think it sort of like limits, you know, what you can do with the character after a while. So I think it's good that they dropped that. I like Alan Moore as an ideas guy in this volume. I like the anatomy lesson idea. I like the idea of him meeting up with another plant man, Woodrue. I like him meeting another plant man and seeing both of their different approaches to like having a bizarre psychic connection to the earth. One sort of handles it in a very zen way. The other handles it with just like lashing out and becoming a crazy person. And it's I like this red. I like the red and the green Christmas colors. That's a bold one there. What else? What else do I like? What do I like and what do I not like? You know, I'm not too familiar with like this Jason Blood or Etrigan character. I enjoyed the sort of mystery of, gosh, why was there even a swordfish man? Why was he able to predict that a swordfish was going to kill? I don't really know. It was interesting though. It was fun and it was interesting. So that's all I really got to say about it. I think this is sort of like the first volume is just sort of him trying to set the stage. It doesn't get too crazy yet. You know, later he ends up going into space, if I remember correctly. He starts to his powers start to evolve and change, and so this is sort of a transitional period before like between like the previous writers and this. That's back to like sort of maybe not having much to work with as far as characters go. Serialized comic book storytelling is probably difficult in general to maintain any sort of continuity of character. You know, you've got all these, you know, different creative teams. The character's always changing hands. It's hard to keep track of a story with all these long. You know, you typically think of a story arc of a movie or a book as like, you know, either 3 acts or 5 acts, and it's hard to sort of maintain like it's hard to maintain things in just like a longer form storytelling. On a sort of line by line prose basis, I think Alan Moore was not quite comfortable yet, or he hadn't quite grown yet as a writer. Maybe there's some lines here and there that are a little overwrought for me. This one I remember stood out to me. Sunset over Halma. The rains have stopped. Clouds like plugs of bloodied cotton wool dab ineffectually at the slashed wrists of the sky. I don't know. That's a little overwrought to me. That's a little kind of teenage goth diaries type stuff. And there's a bit of that here and there. But over, I don't know. It's kind of that's kind of in keeping really with Swamp Thing. The Swamp Thing's always sort of had a Edgar Allan Poe narrative aesthetic. So I guess that's why why Alan Moore was probably chosen, or if he I don't know how he got the job, whether he wanted it or somebody else said you'll be a good fit for this. But Alan Moore's sort of poetic English style does kind of fit with the gothic overtures of Swamp Thing. The art for me was kind of hit and miss. It's cool in the context of, you know, this is an edgy Alan Moore late 80s type thing, but I'm not sure that I would be drawn to this art in any other context. I guess I prefer the fluid anatomy of Bernie Wrightson and Nestor Redondo, the sleek superhero anatomy. I appreciate the sort of the edgy, vaguely autistic style of what's going on here, but I'm not sure it would. I say autistic because there's a story, there's like a couple issues involving this autistic boy, and whether it was intentional or not, the art itself it lends itself to I don't know, it's just, again, it's sort of stiff, emotionally stunted, uh vaguely autistic, if I may say so. uh if I may be so bold. I think that's about it. It's a good sort of again, I think this was the first, I think this was like, I read this before the Bronze Age, and I think it's a good jumping on point. Any comic book really should be a good jumping on point. When you bog people down too much in like continuity and stuff, to the point where you like can't, when it's inhibiting your I don't know, when it's slowing down your when it's making things incoherent, I think it's a problem. But this, you can get the basic gist. You can jump in and get the basic gist of who's who and what's what. But again, I think I don't know. I'm interested to see, like, rereading the rest of the issues, if the characters sort of hit their groove better and just, I don't know, feel more natural and alive, and just not like, I don't know. She's just Abby Arcane. The Abby Arcane thing is just vaguely sort of, I don't know. It feels like manic pixie dream girl type stuff of just like, oh, you're so weird, Swamp Thing. I don't know. I don't know. That's just me. I think that's about it. Good stuff, fun stuff. Goodbye.